come and sit in swastikas. Now, I should say tonight we are going to use a chair and a belt as well at some stage. But please come and sit in swastikas, and just loose cross-leg pose. I'm sitting on a blanket just to give me a bit of lift in the sit bones, and then pull the buttock flesh out of the way on either side, and then press your fingers down into the floor just to help you lengthen the spine. So the breastbone is lengthening towards the ceiling, sitting bones rooting down into the support, and then just draw the inner edges of the shoulder blades slightly together behind you, and then bring the palms together into Namaskar Arson, thumbs just resting against the breastbone, fingers pointing away, and then please close the eyes to begin the class. And as you close the eyes, take a good deep breath in, allowing the breath to come all the way down to the tummy, to the area of the pelvis and the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, try not to let the chest drop, but just allow the ribs to soften and release around the spine. And as you bring your attention to your breath, then just think of the eyes softening, the lower jaw just released away from the upper teeth, keeping the throat soft too. And now keep the lift in the chest, but slowly nod the forehead in the direction of the fingers. Keep the eyes closed as you release the palms to the inner knees. And then on inhalation, slowly open the eyes and look up. So just staying in swastikasana for a moment, please bring your right arm out to the side at shoulder height. Pause there to roll the shoulder back to turn the palm towards the ceiling, and then extend the arm upwards. Just bring the fingertips of the other hand to touch lightly the tricep area, this area, outer upper arm muscles, and just use the fingers of the left hand to roll the tricep in, and then release the arm down by the side, and then bring your left arm to shoulder height. Pause just to really think about rolling the shoulder to turn the arm. So you include that in the turning of the palm. Bring the arm up towards the ceiling, and then just bring the other fingertips to remind the flesh that those outer upper arm muscles to roll in. Just check that your wrist is nice and neutral, that you're not extending the hand back, so arm is long but soft. And then release that arm down by the side. And then once more bring the right arm to shoulder height, roll the shoulders to turn the palm. Extend the arm up towards the ceiling as before, and this time think of the ribs, the chest, everything turning to the left, to bring the right hand to the left outer knee, and then breathe in from the pelvis all the way up to the crown of the head to get taller, and as you exhale, just soften a little bit further into the twist, allowing the head and eyes to look all the way on the horizon towards your left. Now, just as you've done that, check you've not leant out onto your left sit bones. You want to try and keep the weight evenly distributed on the sit bones. And then as you inhale, come all the way back to centre, and then we'll take the twist to the other side. So you bring the left arm to shoulder height, pause there, roll the shoulder back to turn the arm, extend the arm up towards the ceiling, and you think of the ribs turning to the right. As you exhale, bring the left hand to the right outer knee. Again, take a moment to breathe in fully, so you're filling yourself up from the bottom all the way up to the top. And then as you exhale, just soften into the twist, allowing the head and eyes to look all the way on the horizon to the right. And then as you breathe in, come back to centre without collapsing the chest. And then just change the cross of the legs to your other cross. So still in loose cross swastikasana, adjusting the buttock flesh out of the way on either side. And then bring the arms forward shoulder height, interlace the fingers for Badangulyasana, turn the palms away from you, and think of everything coming forward. So body coming forward, and then you sweep the arms up in an arc towards the ceiling. Once there, just think of the elbows drawing together, and imagine there is a hook on your breastbone, lifting that or lengthening that area up as you just look up towards the hands, and then bring the head and eyes back on the horizon. So you're pressing the sit bones down as you're trying to press the ceiling away from you, but keeping the eyes nice and soft, jaw nice and soft, and the breath nice and easy. And then bring the arms halfway down, change the interlace to your other interlace, turn the palms away, and then once more bring the body forward to take the arms forward, and then you take the arms up towards the ceiling in an arc. Just grip the elbows towards each other. Once more, think of a hook on the breastbone as you look up towards the hands. Bring the head and eyes back on the horizon. And now just think of refining this by directing the little finger sides of the hands down to the floor behind you as you really try and press up through the base of the index finger and the base of the thumb. Jaw nice and relaxed. And then release the arms, separate the hands, and then please come to stand in the middle of your mat. So just come to stand in Tadasana with the feet hip distance apart. So just a reminder, hip distance apart, you have the feet together, you take the toes easily apart and bring the heels more or less in line with the toes for hip distance. And then you remember the work we did, particularly thinking about how you're using the buttocks. So you want to just discover how much of a contraction in the buttocks do you need to make sure that 80% of your weight thereabouts is going down into the heels. If you aren't doing that, then quite often what happens is the weight comes into the front of the foot. So just how much of a contraction is needed there to bring the weight into the heels. And think about pressing down into the ball of the little toe, ball of the big toe, outer heel and inner heel. So you're activating the arches of the feet. Think of lifting the kneecaps up, so the thigh muscles at the front of the leg, above the knee, the middle of the thigh and the top of the leg, those muscles all lifted up and being drawn back to the bone. And then once you have that, arms just comfortably by your side, just think of drawing the inner edges of the shoulder blades. It's just the suggestion of them being drawn together, not so much that it would cause the ribs to poke forward. So just enough to open the chest, the collarbones lengthening out to the side. And then once you're in Tadasana, just once more bring the right arm out to shoulder height, roll the shoulder to turn the palm, extend the arm up towards the ceiling, so Virabhadrasana arms, and think of really rooting down into the right leg. So as you root down, that helps to open the ribs on the right hand side. So the arm lengthens towards the ceiling, not from the trapezius muscle, but from the lengthening of the side of the body. And then release that arm down by the side, and then bring your left arm to shoulder height. Pause, turn the shoulder, roll the shoulder back to turn the arm, extend the arm up towards the ceiling, and then again really think of rooting down into that left leg to help lengthen the arm. And then bring that arm down by the side, and then think of both arms shoulder height, roll the shoulders to turn the palms, and then extend both arms up towards the ceiling. If you had an extra pair of arms, they'd just be making contact with that tricep area to roll those outer upper arms in, and just check you're not stiffening into the wrist, trying to grab the ceiling with the hands. The lengthening comes from lengthening down into the feet. Good. Bring the arms all the way back down by the side, and now this time bring the arms forward. So you remember all the work we do on the floor, taking the arms overhead, so it's not about going into a back bend. You're trying to keep the ribs nice and neutral, nice and soft as you begin to extend both arms overhead. So if you only get to here, that's fine. Better to stay there Then substitute a back bend to take the arms up towards the ceiling. Good. And then release the arms down by the side. Good. Now, please bring the arms forward once more. Interlace the hands for Badangulyasana. Turn the palms away from you. And once more extend the arms overhead for Badangulyasana. As the arms are going overhead, buttocks, thighs, all working like crazy to keep the trunk nice and neutral. And then bring the arms forward once more. Change the interlace to your other interlace. Turn the palms away. And then begin to slowly take the arms overhead if you can. Squeeze the elbows together. Think of once more directing the little finger sides of the hands down towards the space behind you. Index finger, thumb, and root of the thumb, base of the thumb pressing up towards the ceiling. And then release the arms down by the side. And now this time, interlace the hands behind the back. Interlace the hands behind the back. Try to squeeze your shoulder blades together as you try and reach the hands down towards the heels. But again, don't disturb the alignment of the trunk to do that. It's much more from the movement of the arms comes from the shoulder blades drawing together to help open the chest. And then release and change the interlace to your other interlace behind the back. And again, think of the shoulder blades drawing together to reach the hands down towards the heels, thigh muscles all staying lifted. And then release, just let the arms go. And then if you, some of you may not need a belt, we're going to do Gomukasana Arms, but if you do need a belt, then have a belt to hand. And then have the belt over your right shoulder to begin with. And then think of taking your right arm out to shoulder height. Turn the thumb side down this time. And then see if you can bring that hand, the back of the hand, to the area of the lower back. And then you can use your other hands just to help slide the hand up between the shoulder blades if possible. Keep it there, and then think of pressing the back of the hand into the back to help roll that shoulder back. And then extend your left arm out to the side, roll the shoulder to turn the arm, extend the arm up towards the ceiling, and then you turn the palm to the back of your room or the back of your space, and see if you can interlace the hands behind you or take hold of the belt. It should have been on the other shoulder actually, so, or if you need to take hold of the belt, please take it. But just be careful that your left elbow is pointing up towards the ceiling, not out to the side. So you want to gather that elbow in. Keep breathing, keep the kneecaps lifted. Good. And then carefully release. Release. Good. And then extend your left arm out to the side. Pause there, turn the thumb side down. Bring the back of the hand to the area of the lower back. Okay, you can use your right hand just to help slide that hand where it can comfortably go towards the area between the shoulder blades. Think of pressing the back of that hand into the back as you try and roll that shoulder back. And then bring your right arm out to shoulder height. Pause there, roll the shoulders to turn the arm. Extend the arm up towards the ceiling, and then you think of turning the palm to the space behind you as you try and interlace the two hands behind you. So it's a powerful stretch for the tricep of the right arm. You're probably maybe feeling that, but as you're feeling it, really try to keep that elbow pointing up towards the ceiling, just to protect your shoulder. And then just breathe, breathe, breathe. and then carefully release. Now just put the belt to one side for a moment, and then if you have a chair, have the chair on your right hand side, just to chair just there, just to offer you a little bit of support. Stay in Tadasana, and then see, can you bring your weight onto the right leg by really thinking of reaching that leg down into the floor. And as you reach the leg down into the floor, what will happen is the left side of the pelvis will hitch up slightly. So if you wanted to lift that left foot, you could do, and then come back. So again, what often happens here is the hip gets pushed out to the side. So you want to try and keep that outer hip in, bring the weight back onto your right leg, and then see, can you turn the left leg out, so the knee turns out and the thigh turns out too. Now if you need to hold on to the chair, it's there to offer you a bit of support. And then see, can you just bring your left foot above the right ankle, so just above the ankle to begin with. Just seeing, can you balance here in this pose, kind of a preparatory for Vrikshasana pose, tree pose. Now keep the lower tummy lifted so it's not dropping forward, and then if you can, take one arm up towards the ceiling or both arms up towards the ceiling to be in Vrikshasana. Your right buttock, remember from the work of the earlier weeks, it's really, those hip muscles are working powerfully to keep you stable on that leg. And then carefully release. Just notice where you're holding the breath in the pose. And then bring the chair to the other side. Again, it's just there to offer you a bit of support. If you don't need to use the chair, then of course don't use it. So feet hip distance apart to begin with, and then bring the weight onto the left leg. So again, the right side of the pelvis will hitch up slightly, but you'll feel those outer hip muscles on the left leg working strongly to stabilise you. Careful you don't let the hip push out towards the chair. You want to keep that outer hip gathered in. And then just see, can you turn the right leg out, so the release is in the hip, and bring that foot just to rest above the other ankle. Now just see, can you be here and breathe, keeping the jaw nice and relaxed, the eyes nice and soft. And then if you want to challenge yourself, you can take the arms up towards the ceiling into Virabhadrasana Arms. Okay. Just breathing, just like a Christmas tree. My first Christmas pose. And then release the arms down. Bring the legs back into Tadasana. So that's kind of a beginner's, not a preparatory version of Vrikshasana, which you're welcome to try again, but we're now going to try the more classical version of the pose. So once more, bring the chair onto the right hand side, bring the weight over onto your right leg, so try to stabilise yourself strongly on that right leg, turn the left leg out again, and then see this time, can you bring that foot to the root of the right inner thigh. So if you can't get it that high, have it above the ankle. Do not have it pressing into the knee. That's very important to help protect the knee. But if possible, you have the left foot at the root of the right thigh, and then you press the left foot into the right thigh and resist the right thigh back into the foot. And then if you find that your left knee is pointing forward, one way of helping to open the groin is to press into the little toe side of that left foot to help take the knee further out to the side. Careful you're keeping the tummy lifted, chest nice and open, and then again, if you want to challenge yourself, you can take one arm up into Virabhadrasana Arms, or both into Virabhadrasana Arms. Just see if you can be in the pose, keeping the thigh muscles of your standing leg lifted, that buttock working for you. Breathing. Good. And then carefully release. Okay, bring the weight back down onto the two legs. Again, just notice, were you tending to hold the breath in the pose? It's very common in Virabhadrasana. And then let's do the other side. So bring the chair to the left hand side. Okay. Bring the weight onto your left leg. Again, so you're reaching down into the earth with that left leg, and the right hip will hitch slightly, and then you turn the right leg out and see, can you bring the foot to the root of the inner thigh? Again, if not to the root of the inner thigh, have it above the ankle, and can't stress that enough, do not press into the knee. Just take a moment to find the balance, and then think of the little toe side of the right foot just pressing a little bit more firmly into the left thigh, and that will help to turn that leg out. Good. And then if you have your balance, then begin to take one arm up or two arms up into Virabhadrasana Arms. Keep the jaw nice and relaxed. Make sure it's the arms that are lifting, not the eyes. You want to keep a nice, soft, even gaze. Good, a nice, easy breath. Good, Virabhadrasana tree pose. And then release the arms down by the side and come back to Tadasana. Good. Now, just have the chair so it's behind you. As if you're going to sit in the chair. So, but stand in Tadasana in front of the seat of the chair. So feet are hip distance apart, just as we did. And we're just going to do Uttanasana, or chair pose, using the chair just to give us some feedback. So once you've got the chair in place, stand with your back to the chair, feet hip distance apart. In all those points we looked at earlier in Tadasana, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, see if you can bring the arms forward and sit back as if to find the seat of that chair. And then inhale, and then come straight back up to standing. Good. So in Uttanasana, you want to try and keep the head of the shin back. So not falling into the knee, weight falling into the knee. You want to keep the head of the shin back as much as possible, so that the movement is actually coming from the hip joints and it's not a fall. So again, when you're ready, take a breath in. As you breathe out, see if you can find the seat of the chair, just touching it lightly without committing yourself, and then look forward and then carefully come back up to standing. Uttanasana. And then one more time, that's it, stand with the back to the chair, open the chest, draw the inner edges of the shoulder blades together, take a good breath in, try and keep the head of the shin back as much as possible, as once more you sit the bottom back in space, letting the arms come forward, try and find the seat of the chair, and then come to sit on the chair. Good. So here as you come to sit on the chair, you've brought the weight onto the sit bones, and you know that because it's easy to lift the feet up. Now see, to come forward and come up to standing, think of coming forward forward with the arms. You feel the moment when the weight is in the feet and the bottom is light, and then the bottom comes straight forward. So just practice that once more. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, keep the head of the shin back, and see if you can just find the seat of the chair as you bring the arms forward. And then you transfer the weight back into the sit bones. And then to come back up to standing, think coming forward, 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 till your weight is in the feet, and then the bottom comes straight forward. Gluteals, it's all in the gluteal muscles there to help us stand. Good. Now come back to Tadasana in the middle of your mat, and then have the chair on your right hand side. Good. Good. And then stand in more or less in the middle of your mat with your feet together, this time in Tadasana. And then bring the middle fingers to touch in front of the chest. Bend the knees and then step your feet nice and wide apart, standing pose distance apart. So ideally so that your ankles are underneath your wrists. And once there, just pause, bring the arms back down onto your sides of the pelvis, and just check that you're pressing down into the little toe sides of the feet, and the ball of the big toe too. So again, activating the arches of the feet. Think of drawing the thigh muscles back to the bone. So again here, you want 80% of the weight to still be in the heels. And then turn your left foot in slightly. So you just lift the front of the foot, turn it in slightly and put it back down. And then once it's back down, you can rethink about the little toe side of the feet. So you're reaching the little toe side of the foot into the earth, and then turn your right leg all the way out. So the foot turns, the knee turns, the inner thigh turns to the outer thigh, and then straighten that leg. Draw the thigh muscles up, and just be careful as you've turn the right leg out that you've not cocked into the left outer hip. So if that's happening, think of sucking those outer hip muscles in so that the hips are even. And then bring your arms out to shoulder height. Careful again, you're not lifting the arms through the trapezius muscles, you're supporting them from the back. Extend your right arm up towards the ceiling, and press into that back outer foot to lengthen the arm and the right side of the body, and then see if you can bring the hand down onto the seat of the chair. And then just pause there. So I'm not trying to keep my hand underneath my shoulder, which is what I'd be normally doing. So I've let the hand come onto the seat of the chair. And then just see, can you there turn the chest a little bit more towards the ceiling so that your left elbow, left shoulder goes to the space behind you. And then if you're there, see if you can just lengthen your right hand along the seat of the chair to take you a little bit deeper into the pose. So you're thinking of really lengthening the underneath, the right hand side of the body, but keeping the chest turned towards the ceiling. So your left ribs dig in and your ribs on the right hand side really open. And then carefully come back up to standing. Bring the legs back to the middle and then come back into Tadasana. And then please bring the chair onto the other side. So it's a variation of Trikonasana that's sometimes used for a scoliosis to really get one side of the body to lengthen it. So we'll just do it to the other side. So just have the chair on the other side. Bring the middle fingers to touch, bend the knees, and then step the feet in standing pose distance apart. Check the little toe sides of the feet are lined up with the outside edges of the mat, hands on the hips again to begin with. Keep the thigh muscles lifted. Turn your right foot in slightly, and once it's turned in, resend the awareness into that leg so that you're really reaching the little toe side of that foot down into the earth. See, if I don't do that, what tends to happen is the knee drops in and suddenly the weight is going to the inside of the knee. So how you use that foot will really determine what happens to the knees. They really press into the little toe side of that back foot, and then keep that firm as you turn the left leg all the way out. So the foot turns, the knee turns, and the inner thigh turns to the outer thigh. The left heel should be in line with the right heel or arch of that middle of the arch. Good. And then extend the arms out at shoulder height. Lengthen the left arm towards the ceiling. And again, from that back foot, you're trying to lengthen, open the ribs on the left hand side. And then you begin to reach out to the chair. Bring the hand down onto the seat of the chair if you can. Pause there and try and turn the chest towards the ceiling. So breastbone turns towards the ceiling, right elbow, right shoulder go back. And then if you're breathing and comfortable in the pose, you see, can you reach that left arm a little bit further away from you on the seat of the chair. Now, and then wherever it gets to is good. See if you can return the chest to look towards the ceiling. Good. And breathe. And some of you may say it's a powerful stretch, or some of you feeling for the hamstrings, certainly, of the forward leg. Good. And then carefully come back up. Bring the legs back to centre, bend the knees, and then come back to the starting position. So we've just come back to Tadasana just to rest. So again, big stretch for the hamstrings, the backs of the legs. Please bring the chair back onto the right hand side, so same position, the seat of the chair facing you. Good. Be in Tadasana once more. And then bend, bring the middle fingers to touch, bend the knees and step your feet nice and wide again to ready for Uttanasana Trikonasana. Check that your feet are active, you're still reaching into the little toe sides of the feet, buttocks are engaged, keep the weight 80% in the heels. And then once more turn your left leg in and turn your right leg all the way out. So not forgetting the teaching point about that back foot. Extend the arms out to shoulder height. Lengthen the right arm towards the ceiling and begin to reach out, but this time bring the hand down onto the right leg. Left hand goes onto the outer hip. Try not to let any weight come into this right hand. Try and turn the chest once more towards the ceiling. And then extend your left arm up towards the ceiling. Turn the little finger side towards the chair. And then see, can you reach the arm over, maybe to touch the back of your chair if it's available to you. So you're trying to reach even beyond the back of the chair. And just see, can you try and have the idea you're looking underneath the arm towards the ceiling. Breathe. Good. And then inhale to come up with both arms. Bring the feet back to centre. bend the knees, and then come back to the starting position. So first variation was really about lengthening the underneath ribs in the pose. This variation is about opening the ribs on the top side as we go into the pose. So please bring the chair onto the other side. Stand in Tadasana to begin with. Bring the middle fingers to touch, bend the knees, and then step your feet nice and wide apart, standing pose distance. Turn your right foot in slightly. Turn the whole of the left leg out, so foot turns, knee turns, inner thigh to outer thigh. Extend the arms to shoulder height. Lengthen the left arm, so that lengthening comes from that back leg. So I reach to help lengthen and open those ribs. Begin to reach out into the space to the left. Bring the left hand onto the leg if possible, right hand on the outer hip. Just pause there, try and turn the chest once more towards the ceiling. Lower tummy drawn back. And then if you can, you extend the right arm up. Turn the little finger side toward the palm towards the chair, and see if you can reach over to the back of the chair. Good. And just try and turn the chest, turn the head to look towards the ceiling. Whoa, hamstrings. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Inhale to come up. Bring the legs back to centre. Bend the knees. And then come back to the starting position. Good, just rest in Tadasana for a moment or two. And then please have your belt ready, and I've got one of these yoga chairs, so I'm going to put a blanket just over the back of the chair just to give me a bit of cushioning. You might want to do something the same. I'll just show you what we're going to do first, which is Utthita Hasta Badangulyasana 1, which is effectively the pose where you bring one leg onto the back of the chair. Now, I appreciate all of you have got different shape, different height chairs, so if your chair doesn't easily permit that, then of course you can bring the leg onto a height that is suitable for you. So. And you can build it up with blocks, whatever's available in the room. So, Utthita Hasta Badangulyasana 1. You'll need a long belt, but you can hold a strand in either hand. And see, can you stand facing the seat of your chair? And just as we did with Vrikshasana, take that away just so that you can see. See if you can bring your weight over onto your right leg, and then first of all just bring the left foot onto the seat of the chair. Now as you bring that leg up, you're trying not to drop into the standing leg hip. So even just getting into the pose, it's kind of a moving pose in itself. So you try and bring the left foot onto the seat of the chair. And you pause there, put the belt around the ball of the foot or the arch of the foot, and then see, can you bring the foot onto your chosen lift. So I've taken the blanket away just so you can see. And as you bring the weight onto the lift, careful again you're not sinking into your standing leg hip. You want to have a strand of the belt in either hand so that you can draw your hands back till your elbows just come by the sides of the ribs. I'll just show that. Do that quickly. So you slide the hands back till your elbows just come by the sides of the ribs to help open the chest. Now your standing leg should be straight and your toes facing forward. If the leg is turned out, just see if you can realign it so the toes are facing forward. And again, you will feel the work in the gluteal muscle, particularly of the left leg. Now try and draw the left toes back towards you and suck the quadriceps of that left leg back to the bone. It's very easy to have turned the pelvis towards the chair. So again, if that's happening, just see if you can even out the pelvis for this pose called Uttanasana Badangulyasana 1, or extended hand to foot pose, version 1. Looking forward, breathing, jaw nice and relaxed. Jaw nice and relaxed. Good. And then carefully release, bring the leg down. Just take a moment to notice the difference between the two sides. And then we'll do the other leg. So stand facing your seat of your chair. Take your time to do this. And then just see, can you bring the weight onto the left leg, and without falling, without dropping into the hip, can you just bring your right foot to rest on the seat of the chair? And then you bring the belt around the ball of the foot or the arch of the foot, and then see, can you place that foot on your chosen lift? Chosen lift. Careful that the pelvis hasn't twisted forward to do that. And once you have found the lift, you just slide the hands down the belt till your elbows can come by your side. And then you think of drawing the inner edges of the shoulder blades slightly together to keep the chest nice and open. If your hamstrings are a bit tight and you're tucking, that's it. See if you can lengthen the breastbone towards the ceiling. Buttocks engaged of that standing leg. Good. Breathe. Good. Good. And then carefully release. Now, I'm just going to repeat that once more with each leg. So just have a few breaths rest. And we're going to add a variation with the arms, which I can talk you through. So stand facing the seat of your chair again. Bring the weight onto your right leg. Bring your left foot onto the seat of the chair. Put the belt around the ball or the arch of the foot. And again, try not to dip into the hip or to fall to do this. Can you bring that foot to rest on your chosen lift? So again, back into Uttanasana Badangulyasana 1. Now, if you have your balance, you can let go of the belt, extend the arms forward in front of the chest, interlace the fingers for Badangulyasana, turn the palms away, and then think of extending the arms up towards the ceiling, Badangulyasana arms. Squeeze the elbows together, press the palms up towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. Good. And then carefully release. Bring the leg back down. And then we'll change and do the other leg. So I'm going to start with the belt again, just to say, if your balance is a bit wobbly, just stay with the belt. Good. So stand facing the seat of the chair, bring the weight onto your left leg. Try to bring the right foot onto the seat of the chair without dropping. Put the belt around the ball or the arch of the foot. And then can you bring the foot to rest on the back of the chair or whichever lift you're working with to begin with. Slide the hands down the belt till the elbows just come by the side of the chest. Take your time. If you have your balance, you can let the belt go. And then you bring the arms forward, change the interlace to your other interlace, turn the palms away, and see if you can extend the arms up towards the ceiling. Again, try not to make this a back bend, so tummy stays back, ribs stay nice and neutral. Squeeze the elbows together to press the palms up towards the ceiling. and then release the arms forward, release the leg, and then come back to standing. Good. So just put the belt to one side for a moment and stay facing the seat of your chair. Stay facing the seat of the chair. Stand with the feet hip distance apart. So again, still hip distance apart in Tadasana. And then see if you can keep straight legs as you just fold forward, hinging at the hips, to bring the hands down onto the seat of the chair. So Uttanasana, forward fold, with the Australian used to say this is a concave back action, but it's not so much concave, but trying not to have the back rounded. So you think of the breastbone lengthening forward, but tummy stays lifted, so I'm not dropping the ribs, trying to keep the ribs gathered, hands underneath the shoulders, looking slightly forward of the beyond your chair. Good. Outer upper arms in. Good. And then see, can you come up with straight legs, so buttocks engaged to bring you back up with straight legs. And now this time I'm going to do the same pose, but try and have the fingers facing backwards. So anyone who's got a hand, wrist injury, just whatever you can do is absolutely fine. But for others, you look forward, see if you can fold forward, and this time bring the palms down so the fingers are facing towards your legs if possible. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Look forward slightly, keep breathing, and then carefully come back up to standing. So strong stretch for the carpal tunnel area in particular. So once more, stand facing the seat of your chair, fold forward again, have the fingers facing in the first direction, facing forward. Bring the hands down onto the seat of the chair, and then transfer your weight over onto your right leg, and see, can you lift your left leg hip height behind you for Virabhadrasana 3. Now, lifted leg toes face down towards the floor, and you're trying to keep the pelvis even, so not the left side lifted. You want to roll that side down towards the floor, but really extend into your lifted leg. Try and push the calf into the heel, and again just look slightly forward beyond your chair for Virabhadrasana 3. Good. And then bring that leg down, bend the knees, release the head, lift up through the tummy to slowly roll up through the spine. Again, work for the hips for sure. Virabhadrasana 3, using a chair. And then once more face your chair, we're better to do the other leg. So you fold forward to bring the hands down onto the seat of the chair. Lengthen the breastbone forward. See if you can bring the weight onto the left leg and sweep your right leg behind you, straight behind you, straight leg. Push that leg away from you as though you're trying to touch the wall behind you, but keep the toes facing down. And if you find the right side of the pelvis is lifted, roll that side of the pelvis down. So I could come and have a cup of tea balanced on your pelvis without it being disturbed. Virabhadrasana 3. Keep breathing. And then carefully bring that leg down. Bend the knees, release the head, lift up through the tummy to carefully roll up through the spine. Good. Now, if you have a hard chair, a metal chair like me, you might want to, for the next version, want a blanket just on the seat of the chair. And I'll just show you quickly what we're going to do before we do it together. So we're just going to do exactly what we did before, come into Uttanasana, and then it will be your left leg back first. Bring your right elbow onto the seat of the chair, and this time I imagine chucking that cup of tea off my pelvis to fall on the floor behind me for a pose called Arda Chandrasana. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like, and then we'll come back and do the other side, but let's do it together. So stand facing the seat of your chair, feet hip distance apart. Fold forward to bring the hands down onto the seat of the chair. Bring your weight onto the right leg. Extend your left leg behind you, toes facing down initially. Bring your right forearm down onto the seat of the chair, and then your left hand onto your outer hip. And imagine you're chucking a cup of tea off your pelvis, so the left side of the pelvis lifts up to throw that cup of tea behind you, and now your left toes are facing forward towards the screen. Both legs super active. Try and turn the chest a little bit towards the ceiling, and then if you have your balance, you take the left arm up just in line with the collarbone for a pose called Arda Chandrasana. Half moon pose, just as it was 2 nights ago. Half moon pose. Good. And then carefully release, bring the foot down, bend the knees, lower the head, roll up through the spine to come back up. But I'm just changing my chair around so I can stay looking at the camera. You maybe don't need to turn your chair around. Good. So stand facing the seat of your chair. Good. Fold forward to bring the hands down onto the seat of the chair. Bring the weight onto the left leg. Take your right leg straight back behind you for Virabhadrasana Three, toes facing downward initially. So here's that cup of tea balanced on the pelvis. You bring the left forearm down onto the seat of the chair, and imagine you're lifting the right side of the pelvis to chuck that cup of tea off your pelvis into the space behind you. Your right hand comes onto the outer hip. Check your lifted leg is hip height, and you're trying to reach that leg into the space behind you. That's it, pushing the calf into the heels. Try and turn the chest towards the ceiling, and then take your right arm up if possible. Keep breathing, Good. And then carefully release. Bring the foot down, bend the knees, lower the head, roll up through the spine to carefully come back up to standing. Arda Chandrasana, and I can't resist this, an Ard pose indeed. Okay. So please come and sit on your chair, facing me, facing the screen. So we've just been working the hips quite strongly, so let's see if we can just release them a little bit. Now turn your right leg out, and if possible, bring the little toe side of that foot to rest on the left leg. Now, if that doesn't seem humanly possible this evening, an alternative would be to have the foot just on the side of the foot, just near the other ankle. So that's one alternative. But see if you can just bring that foot to rest on the top of the other thigh, and try and push your right heel out to the side to the right. So gluteal stretch, probably feeling it in those hip muscles, those gluteal muscles on the right hand side. Just see if you can breathe here. And then release. Good. And And then see if you can turn the left leg out, bring that foot to rest on top of the other thigh. Try and press the heel out to the right, the left heel out to the right. Don't try and force the knee down or anything like that, so you just think of it lengthening down towards the floor. Keep breathing. Just noticing, do you feel the stretch more on one side compared to the other? Good. Again, if you need to, you can have the foot just here. You're still going to get a bit of a stretch in the hip. And then release. And then once more, turn the right leg out. Bring that foot to rest on top of the left thigh. Try and press the heel out to the side. Good. Now, again, for many, this might be more than enough of a stretch in the hip, just getting the leg into this position. But if you want to challenge yourself a little bit further, bring the hands onto your left leg and just see if you can stroke the hands down the leg towards the floor, lowering the head. I suddenly discovered I can get my big toe in my mouth if I... I'm not going to, but I could do if I wanted to. Just you reach the hands down towards the floor. And if you weren't feeling the stretch before, guarantee you probably are now. Just see if you can breathe, breathe, breathe. And then come back up. Change legs. So left foot you bring onto the right thigh. Try and press the heel out to the side. Okay, now, for many this might be plenty enough of a stretch. You can always just see, if you were just to lean forward a little bit, does that bring on more of a stretch? And if you want to take it a bit further, you just slide the hands down the lower leg, the right lower leg, releasing their head. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then release. Good. Now just pause here, keep the feet and knees about hip distance apart, and then just see, can you slide both hands down both lower legs and release the head. Just release the head wherever you get to. Just breathing here, just to help lengthen the back muscles. Breathe. And then to come out of this, walk the hands up the legs just to help you come back up to sitting. Good. And then we'll just do a twist. So think of taking your left hand to your right outer knee, other hand just goes behind you on the chair or on the back of the chair or even on the seat of the chair, and think of just turning to your right, turning the head and eyes to the right, and you press the left hand into the right outer knee, and your other hand can either pull on the seat of the chair or push on the back of the chair, just to improve this twist to the right, keeping the weight on both sit bones. And then keep the twist, but just bring your head and eyes to look forward on the horizon, and then back to the right. So you bring the head and eyes to look forward on the horizon, and then back to the right. Good. And then release. And then we'll twist to the other side. So keep your feet and knees hip distance apart. Bring your right hand onto the left outer knee, other hand behind you, and see, can you press the right hand into the left outer knee to turn you even more to the left, pulling or pushing on whatever's available to you on the chair with the other hand, and turn the head and eyes as far as you comfortably can on the horizon to the left. And then stay turned, but bring your head and eyes to look forward, and then back on the horizon to the left. So they come forward and back a few times. So just differentiating the neck muscles from the chest muscles. Good. And then leave that alone, and then come all the way back to centre. Good. Now, just put the chair to one side for a moment. And then come and sit down on your mat. Good. And then have the feet, soles of the feet comfortably together, but not too close in. So just comfortably together. And then take hold of your left big toe with your index finger and second finger, or take hold of the foot, whatever is available to you, and just bring the right hand onto the floor beside you and just lean over to the right and then come back to centre. So just leaning over to the right, you'll notice how the left sit bone becomes light, and then you come back onto two sit bones. So you're just leaning over and then coming back. As you lean over, just be careful you're not tilting. Try and keep the head and eyes looking forward on the horizon, and then come back to centre. So just leaning over, leaning over, and then coming back. Good. Now the next time you lean over, pause there and see, can you lift the left foot and then bring the knee to the inside of the elbow and then to the outside of the elbow and come to two sit bones. So you lean over, you take the knee to the inside of the elbow and then to the outside of the elbow and come to two sit bones. Again, leaning over, knee to the inside and then to the outside of the elbow to come to two sit bones. And then once more lean over, see if you can bring the knee to the inside of the elbow, and maybe that left foot can go back towards its own buttock as you come to sit towards two sit bones, and then you lean over and then bring the knee to the outside of the elbow to come back onto two sit bones. So just do that once more. So you lean over, lift the foot, see if you can bring the knee to the inside of the elbow and then to the outside of the elbow. Good. And then release. And then we'll do that to the other side. So you take hold of the right big toe with the first and second fingers if possible, or take hold of the foot if you want to. You can even have a belt around the foot to do it, whatever's going to make life easier for you. So you take hold, but if possible you take hold of the big toe and then just lean over to the left, supporting yourself on the hand, and then come back to centre. So leaning over, feel how the ribs, can you feel why this is so good for you actually? So first of all, it's about keeping the head and eyes on the horizon, but your ribs and chest have to change shape to bring your weight onto the left sit bone, and then they come back. So you lean over, come back onto two sit bones, just trying to keep the head and eyes. If you keep the head and eyes on the horizon, it means again that your spine and your neck are having to change to accommodate the position of the head. Again, you lean over. Now see if you can stay, lift the right foot and bring the knee to the inside of the elbow and then to the outside of the elbow. Come on to two sit bones. So you lean over, take the knee to the inside of the elbow, so we're internally rotating that thigh in the hip socket. And then as we come on to two sit bones, we're externally rotating the thigh in the hip socket. So again, you lean over, take the knee to the inside. Maybe that foot can go back towards its own bottom to sit on two sit bones. And then you lean over and take the knee to the outside of the elbow to sit on two sit bones. And once more, leaning over, take the foot back, see if you can sit towards two sit bones. And you lean over and take the knee to the outside of the elbow to come on to two sit bones. Good. Now pause. Bring your chair back. Bring your chair back. And for this, I'm going to sit on a thinly folded blanket. And see, can you extend your right leg long, underneath the seat underneath the chair, and have your so your right leg is under the chair, your left leg is turned out. Sorry, I forgot to mirror. So in other words, it would look, one leg is one foot is near the groin, the other leg is long. So left leg underneath the seat of the chair, turn your right leg out and bring that foot to the inner thigh of the other leg if possible. And then just see, can you bring the chair in towards you, and then bring the hands onto the seat of the chair and try and sit up tall, and then just come forward to rest your forehead or your hands on the forearms. When you do that, keep your forward leg, the long leg, active. So keep the toes drawing back towards you, thigh muscles engaged. And just see if you can take a few breaths with the head resting on the forearms. Janushashasana, a version of it. Breathing. Good. And now look forward, come back up to sitting upright. Keep your left hand on the chair and see if you can turn the body towards your bent leg. The right hand comes onto the floor behind you, and I press to help me turn to the right, and I use the hand on the chair to help me turn a little bit more towards the right. Good. And then release, come forward, change legs around so it's your right leg long, your left leg is folded up in Janushashasana. Right leg active. Bring the hands onto the seat of the chair. Press down lightly to help you lengthen the spine. And see, can you come forward and rest your forehead on the forearms effectively. So again, I'm feeling hamstring work as I bring the head forward. That's it. And I'm just trying to find the edge by drawing the toes back towards me, lengthening the calves into the heels. Thigh muscles of that lengthened leg suck back to the bone. Keep breathing. And then look forward, that's it, you press down into the chair to help you come back up to upright, and then you keep your right hand on the seat of the chair, take your left hand behind you, press down to lengthen as you turn, push a little bit through that left hand to help you turn towards the bent leg, and your hand that's on the seat of the chair can just use the chair to help you turn a little bit more. Keep breathing. Oh, lovely twist. And then release and come forward. I don't know where this time has gone actually, it's gone so quickly. Just prepare yourself for a brief Shavasana with a blanket behind the head and the neck, and you can rest the lower legs on the seat of the chair. Just make sure you're warm enough, not going to lose any body temperature. So you rest the lower legs on the seat of the chair. Have your head just resting on a blanket or a block. But if you're using a blanket, make sure the blanket is not underneath the shoulders. You don't want it to be pushing the shoulders forward. You just rest the lower legs on the seat of the chair. Have the arms beside you for Shavasana. If you wear glasses, I'd probably take them off. Just put them to one side, close the eyes. And then begin to draw your attention to your breath as we did at the beginning of the class. So just allowing yourself some full lengthening inhalations and full exhalations. Sometimes it's helpful, the kind of image that your torso is like a chest of drawers, with a bottom drawer, a middle drawer and an upper drawer. And the idea here is that as you breathe in, the breath comes down to open, pull out the lower drawer, but you keep it drawn out as you then open out the second drawer, and you continue the inhalation all the way up to the upper drawer. So you're really letting the breath fill you up from bottom to top. And as you exhale, you let the top drawer go in, the middle drawer go in, and then the bottom drawer go in. All too often we interfere with the breath, so that what happens is to breathe in, people just open the top drawer, keep the tummy muscles engaged. So really the idea of the drawers is to give yourself permission to allow the abdomen to be soft. So it's a real sense of filling yourself up from the bottom all the way in a progression towards the top. And as you exhale, you just surrender the breath. The analogy breaks down there because it's not just breathing to the front of the body, it's also, of course, breathing to the sides and to the back of the body. Now slowly begin to wriggle the fingers and toes. Bring your feet back onto the chair, roll to one side, and just pause on the side before lifting up. Just take a moment. And then when you are ready, just use your hands to support you to come sit easy, cross-legged towards the front. Bring the palms into Namaskar Arson. Close the eyes. Bring the forehead down. Release the hands on an inhalation. Slowly open the eyes and look up. Thank you very much, everybody.